Good morning, accounting students. This is our third little video on financial management. And we're going to be looking at two things specifically, credit management for receivables and or payables, and their inventory management. So I'm going to start off by looking at receivables management. And obviously in terms of the context of receivable management, we're looking at working capital, current assets, current liabilities. When we think of our working capital, we often think about the current ratio. The current ratio tells us cash coming in compared to cash going out. We said that if cash coming in is more than cash going out, we should be fine from a liquidity point of view. We also said that there are more ratios we could go into more detail with. At that time, we skipped over those ratios. Now we'll just briefly mention them. So we said we could work out something called the cash or the operating cycle of a business. So if we think of a retailer, if they buy products or merchandise, it takes a certain amount of time before they sell them. That time period from when they buy them to when they sell them, we refer to that as the inventory period. We calculate that it's typically inventory over cost of goods sold times 365. Then from when they sell them to when the customers pay us, if we have credit terms available, that is known as the receivables period. And that will be the average receivables over the credit sales times 365. And then finally, from when we buy the goods to when we pay our suppliers, that is known as the payables period. And that will be average payables over cost of goods sold times 365. And then finally, what's of most important to us is the time period from when we pay our supplier till when our customers give us the money back. And that is known as the cash cycle. Why is that important? That's important because that's how long we sit without the money. When we pay to when we get the money back. And obviously we got to finance that amount of working capital for that time period. Now, if you think of a company like Walmart, we said, well, they sell the inventory in less than 30 days, but they take 3 months to pay their suppliers and they don't give credit terms. So that period is 0. So actually what you've got there is you've got 30 days, you've got 90 days, you actually have a negative cash cycle of 60 days. They sit, okay, with their suppliers' money for 60 days before they pay their suppliers, which is a very positive, strong position to be in. I don't have a graph here or a chart here for it, but we need to realize that when money is tied up in working capital, specifically inventory and receivables, it's not doing anything for us. It's not like an asset, like a factory that is making widgets and we're making money out of it. If it's sitting on the shelves or if it's sitting in a customer's pocket as receivables, we are not making any money out of it. In fact, if we're having to finance it, we're probably having to pay interest on it. Okay, so we want to minimize our investment in both receivables and in inventory. Payables, obviously, that's a bonus for us. So we're going to look at receivables next. And obviously, it would be ideal if we didn't have to have receivables, like Walmart, they don't have receivables. But if you operate in an industry like, say, for example, the clothing sector or in maybe hardware, for contractors, it's expected, okay? It's an industry norm that there is credit available, okay? And so you can't be the only one demanding cash when everyone else is giving credit, because otherwise the customers are going to go to debt. So you have to give away credit. How much credit? Well, it'll depend on what the industry norm is. If the industry norm is 30 days from statement date, then that's what you've got to do, which might be on average 45 days from when the customer buys from you. Obviously, you're not going to go and give credit to anybody. You're going to do background checks on them. You're going to get their credit score, which you're going to go and buy. And that credit score, if it's good enough, will tell you that historically they have, on average, paid their bill. So it's probably a good bet to lend them money. Okay. However, we need to be aware that the moment they buy the merchandise and they walk out the store, they've got your merchandise and you don't have their money. Now, they may have intended to pay you, but COVID-19 could happen, and now they lose their job and they don't have money to pay you. So the longer the time period is from when they take the merchandise till when they have to pay you, more things can go wrong in their lives and they are maybe unable to pay you. So you want to minimize that receivables period. You want to keep it as small as possible. And so what you can do is you can offer the credit terms, but you can encourage them to pay earlier by offering them a little bit of a discount. So here is a common way that this discount will be expressed. 110 net 40. So what does that mean? It means that, yes, they've got 40 days to pay us in, or 30 days, whatever your credit terms are. But if they pay early, in other words, within 10 days, they'll get a 1% discount. Now, when you look at that, you might say, well, okay, that's fine. They get a 1% discount. So we still get $99. The reality is, if we look at this, is that if they pay within 10 days, if they pay in the first 10 days, say they bought something from you that appeared to be $100. What they've actually done is they bought something that is worth $99. And then if they pay anywhere from 10 days to 40 days, which is another 30 days later, we're going to charge them $1 interest. Great. So actually, they are paying interest by paying late. You never sold them something for $100. You sold them something for $99, and they're paying that $1 interest for paying late. How much is that interest? Well, it's not 1%. It's actually 1 over 99. So it's slightly over 1%. And what period is that for? Well, it's 1% for paying that 30 days late. If they pay 1 day late or 30 days later, they still have to pay that interest. So it's 1% for a 30-day period. So what you really want to know is what is it for a whole year to get an annual interest rate? So it's for 30 days. So how many 30-day periods are there in a year? Well, actually, there's 12. So this is going to work out slightly more than 12%. So they're actually paying 12% interest for paying late. Now that's fine for a customer. Personally, me, I couldn't be bothered trying to pay early to get that 1% discount, because if you're buying something for $100, what's $1 more? But for a business, if you think about what you can earn with your money, how much can you earn on an investment? Well, very little at the moment, but you're paying 12% interest for paying late. So as a business, for a business-to-business transaction, you absolutely want to pay on time. Okay. Now, this is not 100% correct, because technically that $1 could earn compounding interest. So what you should really do is you go 1 plus whatever that period, whatever that amount is, say 1 over 12, 1 over 99, and get that correct. And you need to compound it. So you're going to multiply it by 360 over the 30-day period, whatever that extra time period is, and then go and subtract 1. So you get the compounding effect, which would probably bring it closer to 13% interest that you actually pay. But you'll notice there's not really a lot of difference when you're talking about millions. Yes, for a small amount, it doesn't really make much difference. The last thing I wanted to just talk to you about with respect to receivables and credit is that when our customers are supposed to pay us, say within 30 or 40 days, we want to keep track if they don't pay us on time. And we probably want to charge them extra interest for not paying on time. But mostly we want to keep track of it. If they are within that 30 or 40-day period, we will refer to them as current. But when they've owed us for more than that 30 or 40-day period, they're then referred to as late, 30 days late, and they get 60, 90, 120. You may have health insurance, and you might notice bills from medical practitioners that maybe your health insurance hasn't paid yet. And on the statement, it might have a little box, and it indicates whether it's current 30, 60, or 90 or 120 days. That's referred to as the receivables age analysis. And they keep track of it. And what's going to happen is as they get older, the amount gets older and older, in other words, it's been outstanding longer, they will start getting more proactive about it. And they will start asking you questions, and they might start sending you nasty letters and then handing you over to attorneys for collection. Because once it gets to 90, 120 days, the probability of getting the money back is getting more and more remote. And so they need to be more aggressive about trying to get the money back from you. Okay, so that's receivables. We spoke about the credit term, how to work out the effective cost of interest. And obviously in the real world, you know, if you're looking at what could I do with that money? If I can earn 5% on that money, or I'm paying 12% for paying late, I want to pay early. But if I could earn 15, 20% with that money, then I would rather pay late and use the money to invest elsewhere. And then there is our receivable age analysis. So that's the first on these two parts of working capital management. Next, we're going to look at inventory management.